Well, hello everyone, and hello to our all-star panel. Thank you for being here. We'll introduce our superstars of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence in about 10 minutes. I'm just going to do a quick intro, and just to help us all understand as we get started, can you all just put in the chat, those of you who are live, obviously some folks are going to be watching this after the fact, but just if you figure you got this technology stuff pretty nailed down, if you consider yourself a high-level business technologist, maybe just put nailed in the chat. And if you're somewhere in the middle, like if you figure you got a lot to figure out still, and your technology is pretty basic, and you're just figuring out your cell phone, put basic in the chat. And then, if you figure you're somewhere in the middle and you just don't like to raise your hand, just put middle in the chat. Okay. Just so we have a feel for what our crowd looks like. Okay. So we've got some naileds and some beginners. Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for being here. I mean, congratulations. You're one of the people who took time away from work or family or whatever else you had to be doing right now. And the fact is you had other things to do. So I want to thank you for being here. And I want to congratulate you because you're one of the people who cares about improving your career, your knowledge, your technology to get ahead. I mean, you're one of the rock stars. And frankly, you're about 10% or 20% of people who invest the time to figure out what's coming next and to develop your skills and develop your career. And generally, you are the folks who make probably 100% or 200% more out of your career or more financially because you make that commitment. Now, at his recent CEO of the Filevine annual meeting, former attorney and founder of the case management software Filevine, Ryan Anderson said, AI will replace lawyers who fail to adapt with it. So the purpose of our being here today and the content we're going to share with you is we want to help you understand this new technology, how it will affect your business and how it will affect search, because there's a significant impact on Google and search, and where the opportunities are for law firms and other businesses. You're probably thinking, well, what's in it for me? That was my favorite FM station, WII-FM. What's in it for me? So we're going to give you skills that'll make your job or life easier, help you understand these new trends. We're going to have a demo of LawDroid from Tom. We're going to explain how attorneys are already using ChatGPT and other AI with Carolyn. Dennis is going to share his particular brand of wizardry, and the panel will take some questions at the end. So I always start my explanation of AI back in 2011, because that was the first time I had that light bulb moment that this thing is really going to change the way we think about computers, because, 1997, the slide skip. IBM's Deep Blue computer beat the world chess champion, Garry Kasparov. And that was a big aha moment for me, because we always thought like computers were good at simple things like checkers, but not things where you had to think and art and plan 3 steps ahead like chess. Ironically, Kasparov and other chess masters went on to use different AI training like Deep Blue and got even better at chess. And the combination of a human using a computer became unbelievable. In 2011, Watson beat the champions Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter at Jeopardy. And that was another one of those major aha moments. Now, not only could the computer understand all this history and this trivia, but it could answer in the form of a question the way you have to do on Jeopardy and beat these champions. 2018, there was a press release and a lot of news about this AI software called LawGeeks that beat 20 expert lawyers in contract analysis. They were given NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. The AI only took 26 seconds to do this analysis. The LawGeeks, the lawyers took 92 minutes. The LawGeeks had a 94% accuracy. The lawyers only had 85% accuracy. So now we're starting to see, look, this thing's real. It's coming into business and it's coming into law. In March of this year, ChatGPT 4 passed the bar exam and scored in the 90th percentile. So ChatGPT 3.5 had passed the bar exam, but now GPT-4 got in the 90th percentile. So obviously this thing is becoming super real and a big part of our lives. Now, one quick disclaimer, Stephen Hawking and many others have warned us about artificial intelligence. Years ago, Stephen Hawking has passed away, unfortunately, but he said that I fear AI may replace humans altogether. He said, be mindful of its real dangers. Recently, Elon Musk said, if you're not concerned about AI safety, you should be. Vastly more risky than North Korea. And Elon Musk continues to call for a multinational panel to enforce some kind of ground rules for AI. But we're not here to talk about the risks of AI. And clearly, I feel, as these experts do, that there's risks of AI. But it's real, it's here, it's in our lives. So let's understand how we can use it to make our lives a little bit easier. So AI is commonly used in manufacturing. Here's a Tesla plant. There's all kinds of AI incorporated into the manufacturing. AI, we use it every day in things like Alexa and Siri in our smart homes. It's in self-driving cars and trucks that are, becoming more popular and beating human driving in multiple tests. It's in big data and business. So AI is a real part of our lives, sort of in every single day. Now, just to set a placeholder for our discussions today, as we talk about AI and ChatGPT kind of simultaneously, first and foremost, there's hundreds of AI companies, and I think there's over 11 unicorns, which is $1 billion valuation in the AI space. And there's also, dozens, if not more, AI companies in the legal space. We're going to touch on a few of them today, and we'll see one of them in a live demo from Tom that he's built. But to differentiate artificial intelligence and generative AI chatbots, ChatGPT and Google's Bard, which is a direct competitor to ChatGPT, are they're a subset of artificial intelligence, right? They're a product that's been brought to market with AI, and they are using artificial intelligence, but just want to differentiate from artificial intelligence companies built to do different things, and these two chatbots, which are built to answer our questions in a generative fashion, which is where the GPT comes from. They're actually generating the answer as you ask it. So just to give a demo, probably everybody here has seen ChatGPT, but if not, the way it works, you ask it a question, which is called a prompt in GPT language and Bard language. Do I need a car accident attorney if I was rear-ended? Straightforward question that someone might ask instead of asking Google, and it starts typing out the answer. So if this was in real time, I just grab screenshots, you'd see this little typewriter going, and it's literally compiling its answer as it goes. And the answers are very good, and to almost every single question you can ask. And this thing soared to prominence. It was launched in November of 2022. And Netflix, when it was launched, took 3.5 years to get to 1 million users. Twitter took 2 years to get to 1 million users. The previous record holder was Instagram, only 2.5 months to get to 1 million users. And ChatGPT had 1 million users in just 5 days. The company has a $29 billion valuation after the recent Microsoft $10 billion investment. So again, just how to think about this thing, think about it two ways. First of all, it's definitely going to take some market share from Google. Most of us who use it, the light bulb goes off and you think, hey, instead of searching that in Google, I could search for that in ChatGPT. And it's also a very powerful new tool that we can use to do all kinds of tasks in business. It does have some limitations. It generally has incorrect information. The data set, most of the data just took from reading the internet, reading billions and billions of pages on the internet. Most of the data is from pre-2021, although GPT-4 is getting better, and it occasionally produces harmful or incorrect results. I asked it, what's the best internet marketing agency for law firms? And it didn't come up with 10 golden rules, for example. But here's an example of how it's such a powerful tool. Write an example with an introduction and a bulleted list. And note that we're giving it some clues. So we call this prompts or modified prompts. So I said an introduction and a bulleted list and a conclusion. So an article with these components, what to do after a car accident, add a sales pitch at the end to contact attorney Jay Berkowitz. I'm not an attorney, but just as a demo. And so it writes a beautiful little article. It comes up in seconds. It's got a conclusion, contact Jay Berkowitz, stay at the scene, check for injuries, call the police, exchange information, a really nice, simple little article. And so a lot of you are thinking, this is awesome. I can get rid of my copywriters or my agency and I can use this tool for all my blogs. But, I would give you a big warning of caution. First of all, Google and Microsoft have both come out and said, you can't really use AI in its current format for SEO, for search engine optimization. And I would add to that, the search I did before about how to select a car accident attorney, I've done that search about a half dozen different ways, what to do after a car accident, what are the things you consider with hiring an attorney. And generally, like all 6 queries come up with a relatively similar set of results. It's kind of a glossy sort of overview. So what ChatGPT is excellent at is like reading the whole internet, summarizing it, and giving you that nice overall summary, but the content tends to be a little bit glossy. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use it in your everyday life. So, here's an example. Create a series of clarifying questions about selecting a car accident attorney. And then what we're doing is we're using that list of questions to develop a criteria for developing our search engine optimization content. And certainly ChatGPT is great for doing research and writing those first drafts, but still today, we highly recommend adding that human layer. First of all, for fact checking, and second of all, to just write it like with an editor with a humanizing touch. And this strategy has been particularly effective for us in addressing, figuring out questions and answering those questions, because Google is showing what they call a rich snippet right at the top of many, many Google results. Can you sue for a sprained ankle? And our client comes up with the best answer on the entire internet. And Google also has people also ask. So answering and asking questions has been a strategy we've been using for about 5 years in our SEO. And so ChatGPT is a very helpful tool for developing those lists of questions. And in some cases, we've already asked, and answered like 100 questions for an attorney, and it might give us 50 new ideas for this type of strategy. And so we essentially just ask the attorney to answer a question: what happens if an Uber driver hits you? And we put that on YouTube, on the blog, and all the social media and Google Maps. Here's a couple additional ways you can use AI and different tools for legal. This is my friend Ken Harrell, and he pops up on his website with a video. And this is a software called Intaker, which is a chatbot. And we have it on our site as well. And it pops up with the video, and then you just simply answer these questions, and the AI guides you through those questions. And it's very, very effective form of using AI on your website. Here's another quick tool called Dolly, and it's from OpenAI, the same company that brought us ChatGPT. And you can ask it funny things like, create an image of a lawyer in a Monet style, so you can pick the style of art, drinking a martini. I kind of like this one. And there's lots of other tools for generating images. Here's one called Flicky. You can actually create a video. So this is, we wrote the script for a commercial, a 30-second TV commercial about Camp Lejeune on ChatGPT. And then we broke the commercial up into sections. And Flicky has rights-free video that you can use. And it runs, creates a fantastic little TV commercial. And then you select the voiceover. The voiceover comes from AI. And you can select from 30 or 40 different, male, female, different ages, different accents, and you select your voiceover and it creates a TV commercial for you. Now, this isn't ready for the Super Bowl quite yet, but let's say you wanted to just test 4 different commercials. You could test it on OTT, which is the online TV commercials that you can run on like Hulu and all the different online networks. You could test very inexpensively, test 4 different creatives. And if one of them did great, then you could run it on an online campaign or a local TV campaign. And we're going to hear all about LawDroid in a minute from Tom. He's going to do a demo for us. And it's a fantastic working artificial intelligence tool for attorneys. Another one is called Case Text, which is like a legal assistant that'll do legal research for you, like if you're looking for a certain type of case. Another one is called Harvey AI. So without further ado, I want to introduce our all-stars. And as I mentioned, Tom is an attorney, was an attorney, still has a functioning practicing law firm. And he developed AI and started using technology to basically to make his life easier. He'll probably tell you a little bit about his background. And then he, ironically, I moved from Western Canada to the United States. He moved from California to Western Canada, currently in Vancouver. I want to thank Tom for being here. And Tom, you're going to do a demo, right?
Yeah, happy to.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing. And you should be able to share your screen. Hopefully technology's our friend today.
Okay, great. So before I jump into sharing my screen, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. I worked with Carolyn before. She is an expert in this field too. And Dennis, it's the first time meeting you, but I look forward to hearing what you have to say as well. So basically with ChatGPT, there's 3 major concerns that attorneys have, rightly so. The first is privacy and security. And so working with a vendor like LawDroid or CoCounsel or JurisSage, or there's a number of other companies that are working on top of OpenAI, we tackle the privacy and security concerns because we use the API. None of the information that's submitted to OpenAI is used for training purposes. So lawyers have a concern that they put sensitive information into ChatGPT and maybe somebody else queries ChatGPT in another part of the world and they get, your client information that you submitted, and okay, the state bar is going to be calling you soon. So you don't have to you don't have to worry about that, because the policy as of March 1st is that OpenAI will not use any of it for training purposes when you work with a vendor like ours. The second thing is everyone has an obsession with, let's call it hallucitation, where ChatGPT makes up citations, right? And so we counter that. I'll show you how we counter that in a second. But because we tie it to a database that has accurate case information, we draw from that, and we also tell the AI not to make stuff up. So by doing those 2 things, we've tackled hallucitation. And the last thing is we've really simplified how to use the technology. So let me share my screen with you and show you how it works.
Working, technology's working, thank you.
Great. So can you see a screen that says Copilot?
Yep.
Okay. So the simplification is that if you use ChatGPT, you may have heard about prompt engineering. You have to learn how to do a prompt, and then there's like a specific art and science to it. You assign a role to the AI, like you are an excellent marketer, or you are an expert lawyer in the area of personal injury law. And then you tell it what question you want answered. You provide it with some background information, which we call context. And you have to put all of this load of information into the request to get some kind of useful answer back. What we've done is we boiled all of that down to preset prompts that are reflected here in the form of buttons. So if you want to summarize something, you just click on simple summary. If you want to correct grammar, you click on that. You don't have to think of the prompt for those things. But we also provide a way to get into bare ChatGPT. If you want to do a free form prompt, you could do that as well. But what I'm going to show you right now is the case law research. So if you click on that, there's a prompt. It asks you to, ask it about some legal issue. And so if you ask it to show you cases involving, and then you just put the keywords in that you want to search, and you also tell it what jurisdiction, so in California in this case, it will quickly search. And by the way, where it's getting these cases that you see here is from the Harvard Case Law Project, which has close to 7 million US federal and state cases. So like I said, we're drawing from a source of truth. This is a database with accurate case information. That's where these cases are coming from. ChatGPT is not making this stuff up.
So it's every practice area, tons and tons of cases, and relatively current, Tom?
Yes. Yeah, the Harvard Case Law Project keeps it updated, and we access it through the API. We display a ranked list of cases, which are ranked by relevancy to your search. You can click on this button that I'm showing you here to show a preview of what the case is about. So you can see, is this relevant to what I'm looking for before you jump into it?
Very cool.
Yeah, and so you can just check those out. We also have the ability to read the case. And I realized what I'm showing you so far, it's par for the course. This is stuff you could find on any other system, but in a second, you'll see how we can differentiate ourselves. So by using the technology of ChatGPT, we can brief a case. So we ingest, we take in the actual court opinion, analyze it using ChatGPT technology. And then what I've created is a series of prompts in the background that create a factual summary, outlines the holding, the rule, the reasoning, procedural history, and everything we learned in law school about how to brief a case. And so when you get this case briefing, of course, it gives you a crystallized version of what this case is about, and you could easily wrap your mind around how you might use this case to your advantage. And then after that, we actually allow you to ask follow-up questions of that case. So for example, if you wanted to know what's the name of the judge who wrote this opinion, you could simply ask Copilot just like you would a colleague, and they could answer it could answer you in natural language. One other thing is that you could ask it, for example, can you please summarize in bullet points what this case stands for, or the key findings of this case? And that's it. That's what you can do with Copilot. It is an AI legal assistant that's here to help you with legal research, summarization, drafting emails and letters, and other things that you do throughout your day, and 10x your productivity.
That's awesome. So who's using it so far, and what are some of the results you've seen, Tom?
Yeah, so we have law firms across the United States, Canada, that are using it. Within the past 2 weeks, we've had 300 additional users sign up. We have a total of 400 users that are actively using our Copilot. I'm learning so much from them. We're getting lots of great feedback. We are in beta right now, so the functionality that you've seen is only the beginning. We're also going to be rolling out the ability within the next 30 days of lawyers to upload their own motions and documents and analyze them by either asking questions and getting them answered from the documents, summarizing the documents, and then after that, we plan to make it possible to draft new documents based on old motions and old work products. So it's a really exciting time, and it's nice to see that everybody's really engaged.
Let me ask one more question, and then we got one from the audience, but everybody else, write your questions down, and we'll take a panel at the end. What are you seeing in the community? Like, do you go to like AI conferences, legal AI conferences? And what are some of the things that are bubbling up that you'd like to share with everybody? So,
I see Carolyn smiling because we've all been to so many conferences lately. This is just what everyone is talking about. I totally agree with the CEO of Filevine's opinion that you need to be in this game. You need to be learning how to make this work for you. I don't think it's an option to kind of push away from the table and say, this isn't ready for prime time yet. Wait till it's perfect. You have to learn by doing with this. And so I think what I've seen a lot of is that kind of dialogue of objections and, you know, countering the objections and things like that. And so what I've learned from that is just to convey the message to lawyers, please don't, you know, push away from the table. You need to jump into this to learn how to use it. Change your mindset from one of that it has to be perfect to use it to one of that this is a collaborative tool that you could use to do your job more quickly and even better sometimes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Carolyn, do you want me to click your slides or do you want to share your
I
screen?
should be able to share my screen. I've got them up. So let me just.
Oh, wait. So, sorry, I did say we'd take one question.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'll get it set up while you're doing that.
How, this is from anonymous attendee. Hello, anonymous. How is the data privacy protected? Tom, that's for you.
Sure. So data privacy is protected two ways. So when we submit information over to OpenAI, it is protected by a policy that says that they will not use it for training purposes. So that's the protection on the OpenAI side. On our side, we use an SSL certificate. We encrypt the data as it's submitted to us, and we also encrypt the data while it's at rest. Is it perfect? Is it going to prevent anything from ever happening? Well, after the ABA got taken down, there is no perfect solution, but we take as many reasonable precautions as everyone else does to do our best to protect your data and privacy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Stick around because we'll give you some more questions on the panel. And Carolyn, you want to?
Yeah, let's see if that's going to come up. Can everybody see my screen? I'll go into presentation mode in a second.
Yeah, we see a little guy or girl in the background too. And just a quick introduction from Carolyn. She was actually introduced to me by Tom, and she's an attorney, and she's also has a course right now teaching attorneys how to start using AI and ChatGPT. And she is still a practicing attorney, and she's representing the Northeast quadrant today. Carolyn, where today?
I'm out in the DC area.
That's right. She's in DC. So she's in the Northeast. Tom's in Vancouver in the Northwest. I'm representing the Southeast, normally in Florida, but I'm at the PILMA conference in New Orleans today. So I'm still Southeast. So without further ado, Carolyn, take it away.
Thanks so much for having me here, Jay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how practicing lawyers are using ChatGPT in their law practice. And we're going to just give a couple of quick examples of AI use in law practice, and I'll speak briefly to some of the copyright and legal ethics issues that you may have heard come up. Before I get started, I just want to make a distinction between using ChatGPT and using services like LawDroid or case text. Just like Google never replaced the need for Lexis and Westlaw, ChatGPT is not a I don't see ChatGPT as a replacement for commercial products like LawDroid or case text, which are actually trained on case law and are doing research. I would never rely on ChatGPT to write a brief for the court. I would rely on those other tools to do that. So I see them as two separate things. So just as in your practice now, you presumably use Google search and Wikipedia for certain purposes, and you use Lexis or Westlaw or FindLaw or K6, whatever your commercial research provider is for others. That's how I see the distinction between ChatGPT tools and the commercial or legal enterprise tools that are based on GPT or AI. So anyway, with that, I'm just going to dive right in. So this is one example of something that ChatGPT can do. In my practice, I deal with regulatory issues in the energy space, renewable energy, and also landowners impacted by infrastructure. So I am often required to read large rulemakings and other hefty documents. And so what I've been able to use ChatGPT for is to feed that information into ChatGPT and have it produce a table with which summarizes the information in the document in a table format. And I can take that table and put it into a spreadsheet, or I can just circulate it to clients. So it makes it faster and easier for me to summarize relevant information for my clients, or to use my summaries of that information to market my practice. Another thing, responsibility I have in my practice is to review legislation and sometimes propose changes to it. And ChatGPT can be prompted to mark up legislation and to give suggestions on how to eliminate certain terms. So here's an example of a prompt I put in for a particular piece of legislation that affects landowner clients and has to do with transmission. And I had it remove the offending paragraphs that I wasn't interested in. You can also take it a step further and ask it to draft legislation that would provide for certain outcomes. And I think in the state of Massachusetts, ChatGPT was actually used to draft legislation to regulate artificial intelligence. So it's kind of a meta purpose for it. I have also used ChatGPT to generate discovery. I think that the commercial tools that like LawDroid and Case Text also have this feature or would be developing that feature, but ChatGPT does work for a simple version of generating discovery. What I did here was I found a sample complaint online, just a run-of-the-mill negligence case in Maryland, and I cut and paste the complaint into the ChatGPT box, asked it to generate some discovery requests, and it produced some interrogatories and requests for production, requests for admission that are pretty decent and relatively comprehensive. Now, would I send these discovery requests out without reviewing them myself? No, but it has given me a good start on the task, and it's a huge time saver. And these requests are also more specific to this particular complaint than if I had a template in my practice that I relied on. I know a lot of attorneys have template interrogatory or requests for production, and also a lot of jurisdictions have templates that you can use. With the template, you're really starting from ground zero. With ChatGPT, you're starting a couple of steps up because it will personalize those templates to the particular situation, but it still doesn't obviate the need to check that information. One of my favorite uses for it is tone correction. If you do any kind of litigation negotiation, it seems that you're always dealing with lawyers on the other side who are nasty. I want to say nasty, brutish, and short, but unfortunately, the effect of their nasty and brutish communications are not short. It can really make you angry yourself or just not want to have to deal with them. So here's an example of ChatGPT responding to a terse email from an opposing counsel saying, "We won't appear for deposition. Your client is a jerk and I'm seeking sanctions." I asked it to reply respectfully and it put a whole tone out. It's almost aggressively nice. And I find that that's the best response to aggressive nastiness, is to be aggressively enthusiastic and nice. And so not only does ChatGPT draft the response, but it takes the responsibility off you. These are usually situations that you don't want to deal with, and it picks up the slack and does the response itself. So I find it really useful for that. These are just some different examples of beyond ChatGPT. There's a site called Synthesia, which Judge Scott Schlegel, he's a judge, a very forward-looking, innovative judge in Louisiana who's using technology to really single-handedly improve the courts in Louisiana. One of the things he's done is he's taken this tool where you can create an avatar and then type in what you want it to say, and it'll produce a little video. So he's created some of those for the court website where you have somebody saying, "Welcome to this court website. I'm here to help you. This is where you'll find some of the information." So I think this is a really interesting use that lawyers could use on their website or to explain information to clients in a way that is understandable. It's easier to produce than having to do the video yourself. If you're like me and you've wanted to tape a video of even a simple topic, it probably takes like 75 takes for that 30-second video. This is a little bit more foolproof. Now, of course, you would want to disclose to clients that that these are avatars and not people, but I think that there are some interesting uses for that. And the last type of AI use that's becoming emerging is headshots. If you have not updated your headshot on your website in like 20 years and you either don't want the hassle of having to go out and hire a photographer, or you don't have the money for it, you can use this tool. You can upload a photo and it'll produce different headshots for you using AI technology. So this is a way that you can update your website, your LinkedIn profile, and other marketing tools. People like to see photos. They posts and social media have a lot more reach and more persuasiveness when people can see who you are. And so this is a way of doing that. Again, it's not foolproof, but it's very inexpensive. You may not like all the headshots you get, but you should be able to get at least a handful of them that are usable for your purposes. So those are just a very small handful of examples kind of all over the map of what these uses can be. And I would suggest that anytime you're undertaking any task in your practice, think about using ChatGPT or a LawDroid just to make the task easier or to enhance it. I mean, be curious about the tool and play around with it. And I think you'll see that it can do a lot more than you may have ever thought. So one of the questions that is currently being litigated now is whether the companies that like ChatGPT that go out and train on data or image sets that are grabbed from the internet, whether that's a copyright violation. Under copyright law, the holder of a copyright has the exclusive right to distribute or reproduce or use the materials that's copyrighted. And so the question is, when ChatGPT goes out and extracts that information, whether that somehow interferes with that exclusive use, and whether that interference is exempt, and whether it interferes with that exclusive use. So that's really something that's being litigated right now. And it looks like there's potentially some traction to that argument, but it's not a straightforward argument. Even under traditional copyright law, there are a lot of exceptions for fair use or for transformative use. You know, when you take data and transform it for another purpose, it would also be exempt under copyright law. So those are issues that are being litigated right now. They don't affect you as the user. Those are lawsuits that are being brought against companies like ChatGPT that are using the data for training. So it's just an issue that's out there and something to follow, but not necessarily something that affects you directly. The next question that attorneys have is, well, if ChatGPT generates some output, is that output going to violate copyright? Will it somehow produce, generate in its output a carbon copy of a blog post that's already been published? It's highly unlikely that something like that could happen, that you're actually going to get a carbon copy of something that's so similar that it would violate copyright. But the best practice here is to just take that output and make it your own. Whatever kind of output you get from ChatGPT, if you tweak it a little bit, if you personalize it, you're going to avoid any kind of copyright claims, you're going to avoid any kind of plagiarism. And so that's really the best practice, is to make that output your own. Don't just take it and take what you get from ChatGPT and slap it up on your website as a blog post. And the last question is can you copyright the output of ChatGPT? So if I ask ChatGPT to write a novel about me fighting crime as a crime fighter, a mild-mannered attorney fighting crime, and put together a book, turn that into a novel, and it generates an interesting novel, can I copyright that? And the answer is no. Currently, current law provides that copyright has to have some element of human creation. And the Copyright Office has suggested that materials or images produced by a machine are not eligible for copyright protection. That may be something that changes in the future, but that's currently what the situation is now. So again, the best practice is the same. If you put something into ChatGPT and you want it to qualify for copyright protection, make it your own, personalize it, and that will give you the eligibility for that. And legal ethics questions. Lawyers have a duty of tech competence. So that means that lawyers are required to review and understand the technology that they're using. So when it comes to something like AI, one of the things that a lawyer exercising a duty of tech competence wants to do is have an understanding of what level of data security there is, what kind of data the AI is being trained on. Those are the kinds of questions that you want to ask or that you want to consider when you're using and relying on an AI product, especially for representation of clients. You also have a duty to supervise or oversee the technology you're using. So this is an issue that originated with e-discovery. When law firms started outsourcing to e-discovery companies, eventually e-discovery became very highly automated. And law firms were sometimes caught with their pants down because the the algorithm that was used to generate the e-discovery or produce the e-discovery results was not always accurate. And there would be motions to compel or motions for sanction. The lawyer would say, well, I didn't know the product worked like that. And the courts were like, no, that's not an excuse. If you're using these products, you still have to supervise them. The same with ChatGPT. If you're going to put search terms in and rely on the results, you need to review them. That's another best practice. And the last matter for legal ethics, which I don't have up here, is client confidentiality. Tom spoke to those issues already. When you're using one of the more commercial products, you're going to have a higher level of data security. But the other thing with confidentiality is also just common sense. I mean, you wouldn't put your client's credit card up on a billboard on the highway. So by that same token, putting it into ChatGPT for whatever weird reason you might have would also violate a duty of confidentiality. So that's kind of the last best practice, is don't forget about common sense when you're using these tools. The tools may be interesting and innovative, but the same traditional best practices always apply to their use. And that's pretty much a very quick overview of how lawyers can use ChatGPT and address some of the ethics and legal concerns that sometimes come up.
That's awesome. Thank you. And is your course just started, or when you have a course on how to use these tools, right?
Yes, so I have a class right now. It's called the Law Firm Startup Accelerator Program, AI Accelerator Program. And essentially what it's doing is it is showing how AI can be used in any step of the process to either start a new law firm or add a practice area to your firm. So it takes you through everything from using AI to develop a business plan, to learn and master a new practice area, to marketing the practice area, doing outreach to potential referral sources. And it was just a good practical way to show lawyers how they can have an actual use case for AI. So it's not something that's completely theoretical or not something that's just a fun game, because even though it is fun to use, it's a serious tool.
Awesome. And the headshots, is that the name of the app?
Oh, I must have gotten it. It's called Try It On.
Okay.
That's the name of the app.
Okay, great. I'm glad I asked.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, I've got a couple other questions for you, and I'm sure everybody else in the audience does. But thank you so much. And don't go anywhere, because we'll come back to you on the panel. And
Okay.
Dennis, always amazing. There he is.
Hey, what's up?
And I was trying to figure out, Dennis, how long we've known each other, because Dennis was a search engineer at Yahoo, actually building a search engine. And I don't know if you were the only one or the one who's most willing to go out and speak at conferences, but were you the only one, or just the most willing?
The other engineers didn't want to go speak.
Yeah.
So that didn't mean I was any good, but we had to send somebody, right?
Well, you got not only good, but great. But Dennis and I used to, I guess we still do, but we used to speak at all the internet marketing and business conferences. And I used to see him, and sometimes we'd be on the same flight going to the next conference. And he became really the voice and the face of Yahoo back when almost every panel would have Google, Yahoo, and Bing represented. And then he's gone on to build his own company called Blitz Metrics, an awesome training company, and write a couple best-selling books about Facebook ads, Twitter ads. And so he's sort of covered it all, and obviously can understand AI and marketing and search at a depth that I can only talk about, but he can really understand it. So Dennis, I assume you're going to do live demos, because that's your thing, right?
Yep. I'm going to share some things.
All right. So over to you.
I like to teach by a real example. A lot of people like to opinionate, and we could waste hours talking about that, but I'm one of those prove it engineer sorts of people. So I'm going into one of these tools, and I'll show you how to use certain things in ChatGPT for a second. I just did a search a few seconds ago. How long do you think Jay Berkowitz and Dennis, you have known each other? And so it knows who I am, and it knows who Jay Berkowitz is. You can see here, right? The AI, here's the main point I want to make. The AI, the ability of ChatGPT and these other tools, Bard, whatnot. I'm good friends with the lady who's in charge of the AI at Google. We had dinner a couple nights ago, and I'm biased towards the search engines, of course. The AI, the ability of the AI to help you is largely dependent upon how much it knows about you. So if it doesn't know you, then I'll show you why that's important. Okay. So I'm going to record a little video here. Watch this. Jay Berkowitz and I have known each other for at least 15 years. I remember we've spoken at conferences all over, like Jay said, whether it's at Safima or now webinars, Zooms. Today is Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. And this actually is Dennis. And after this, I'm going to go eat some barbecue ribs. Okay. So you can see that the AI here has transcribed this. And a lot of people, this I'm going to show you what not to do in AI. This is what a lot of people think AI is. They've watched all these movies, Minority Report, Hollywood makes it look like the robots are going to kill everybody, the Matrix. And so this is what happens. Let's say we actually have known each other for 17 years. And it's not Wednesday. It's actually what day? What day is it, Carolyn? Let's pretend it's not Wednesday. What's your favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Friday. And then what's your favorite food, Carolyn?
Ice cream for sure.
I love ice cream. And so now the AI knows my voice, and because it knows me, it can start to render these things, right? And so, yes, you can use it in marketing automation, just like when you have emails, the emails that say, welcome and hope you're having a good Friday, or follow-ups, anything like HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, Salesforce, all those guys that send out things that are personalized where they're injecting variables. You can inject it with video now. It's not hard to do, right? So we can just literally play this. Known each other for at least 2 years. I remember we've spoken at conferences all over. It's still rendering. Said, whether it's at Safima or now webinars, Zooms. Today is Jibber Mesa. Oh, so it's still it's still light blue. So we have to give it a second to render.
What application is this, Dennis?
This is Descript. I know dozens of these different tools. Synthesia was mentioned earlier, which is a great one. So let me just show you an example. So there's ones that are real and there's ones that are fake, right? And they look pretty close. This one's real.
That being positive can create benefits.
And this is the fake one. And the idea of synthetic media, which you should not do. Synthetic media is from scratch, there's nothing. So this is a fake Jill, fake words, fake, because it's based on a voice model and a video model. So, but I always like to start with real, and I'll show you what this means in a second. You'll understand this is the one mistake everyone's making in AI. I see it all the time. They have something just generated out of nothing. Okay, so this is the generated out of nothing.
That being positive can create benefits.
Okay, now that's pretty believable. And then you have this one here, and then you guys can decide, do you think this is real Dennis or fake Dennis?
A positive attitude can help overcome difficult situations such as public speaking. Show the audience that you feel positive.
That's really great.
Can you tell? Can you tell if that's real or fake? Right? It's like what is that? Westworld, you ever watch that series where they, kill the robots and have sex with them? Like, well, if you can't tell if we're real or not, does it matter? I don't want to get into that whole psychological, ethical thing, but I want to show you what's very practical right now. Okay. So if I do a Google search, and I did a search for a few of us here, Tom Martin, I don't see, well, I see other Tom Martins, but there's lots of Tom Martins out there, right? But if I change it to LawDroid, you guys should all be Googling yourself, right? Then I see that this site ranks for a bunch of keywords, and you have your site links, and people are also asking, what is LawDroid and what is legal AI? And there's other stuff related to Tom Martin, because Tom Martin's clearly tied to LawDroid, right? But there's not enough here, Tom, to trigger a knowledge panel over here on the right side. And I believe this is problematic if you want to use ChatGPT. It's funny because I'm giving my advice to an AI expert, because the AI doesn't know enough to be sure about who you are. So I did a search for Carolyn Elefant. Look, she's categorized as an author. We didn't prearrange this, did we, Carolyn? Not at all, right? And I can see that she's got all this other stuff about her, right? And it knows about her videos, books. Carolyn, wow, right? About her law firm as well, a little bit of a bio. But Carolyn, do you see this little thing here, claim knowledge panel?
Yeah.
Why haven't you claimed it?
I don't know. I didn't know it was, I guess I didn't know it was there. So thank you.
This is not Google's reaction to AI and having to revamp search because of all the tools and bar. This is not. This has always been here. This is called a knowledge panel. And because of it, it knows a few things about her, right? Overview, books, and other bits like her firm. And there's several things that are, this is great that you trigger full knowledge panel. Plus, it's not a difficult search. There's only 437,000 results.
Doesn't it
All
just
you
show how
lawyers-
old I am?
No, this is a good thing. It means it knows a lot about you. And I can ask ChatGPT, who is Carolyn Elefant? I almost wanted to put PHANT,
Yeah,
but you know,
I know.
I'm sure you get that all the time. And it knows all about you, right? Then I could say you're a well-respected attorney because you've done stuff for FERC. Okay, so now if I go to your site, let's see here. I can ask questions. So now let's role play. You're Carolyn. Write me a blog post about what's a topic that you, what's something that you're currently talking about?
Flat
What's the
fees
question
for
someone asked?
flat fees for legal services, artificial intelligence, and small law firms.
Legal services. Okay, well, let's be more specific. Give me legal services to implement, you know, AI and small law firms. Okay, something
Yeah.
like that, right? And it'll come back with something. Because it knows about you, it can actually say some things about, and this is not one of those, well, there's a privacy thing. I don't want it to, you know, learn from what I'm doing. What I'm saying is when we look at your sites, and I've Googled a bunch of you other guys here just to see, most of your stuff is terrible. And I don't mean to like be picking on anyone's site, but I'll just randomly pick on.
Oh my
And if any of
God.
you guys want your site to be picked on, I'll just show you. Okay, here's the problem in marketing with law firms, especially in PI. You have the main site, and then you have these location service pages, right? So you have the things that you do, like here, employment, labor, but it could be, you know, slip and fall, dog bite, you know, wrongful death, all these kinds of things, right? And so if I look at any of these, I'm going to see that there's so little information. There's almost nothing. So I know that AI can do all kinds. Let's just go back to the thing that's not AI. So what's not AI is this sort of futuristic, you know, the computer's going to kill everybody. This
And I have known each other for at least 2 years.
Oh, shoot, it's not rendered that yet. I don't know why that is. Maybe my internet sucks. You see, I don't fully trust AI. It's not about being all fancy AI. It's simply, it's as simple as your content sucks. And there's not enough information about what you do in each city and in each area that you serve. So the AI can help enhance this if it knows who you are. And then if I look at these SEO tools and I see, you know, they rank on 1,600 keywords. This page ranks on only 2 keywords. Well, certainly they want to rank on more than, let's see what 2 keywords, should probably be like 50. Buckingham real estate, you know, whatnot. And it's because there's not enough SERP features and there's not enough juice to be able to rank on keywords that have higher difficulty. So these are all keyword difficulty of 0, basically, right? So the most practical, obvious application of using ChatGPT is to enhance your existing local service pages. I can go to any, I'm just doing this with anyone's stuff, you know, whatever it might be, car accidents. Okay, cool. You guys are all doing this, right? Kentucky personal injury attorney. They put this all big H1 because they're trying to rank on this, right? And there's so little information. I don't mean to be picking on whoever this is, right? But there's so, I just picked it out of the chat, out of the webinars. So you have these videos and all this, but there's a DR10 because there's not enough links coming to it. The page has no authority. It does rank on some keywords because of local citations and whatnot. But look, here's the mistake. I want you to clearly see, this is the last point I'll make, clearly see the mistake that's being made of people that do use AI to try to enhance this. So this stuff here, car accident, well, insurance companies, blah, 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 blah. That's why if you contact us, this is something that an AI can write. Google changed their, if you've been in a car accident, call us immediately. And here's what you do when you get in a car accident, stock art. Any attorney can do this.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I just get in for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're going to lose Tom at the top of the hour. So
Okay.
I wanted to ask him one question, which is how can people use LawDroid? And folks, we'll stay and answer some more questions
I have to leave at the top of the hour too. I have to
Okay.
leave in a minute.
I do
and a half. Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, Tom, how can people use LawDroid, get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, first off, Dennis, that's like amazing stuff. Now I know to claim a knowledge panel and add some more stuff like Carolyn has there. So please go to lawdroid.com. You can sign up for a research beta account with a Copilot, and it's only $5 a month to be part of our research beta. So there's no reason why you can't jump on board now, and just go to lawdroid.com. Thank you.
And Dennis, same thing. Where do we find you to find out?
Just Google me. All the stuff that I'm showing about how to fix basic marketings, and like literally Google me and you'll see a full knowledge panel. Jay, you don't have a knowledge panel. All you guys should have this. It's easy to do. You don't need to hire any fancy people. It is all just step by step, paint by the numbers. A virtual assistant making $3 an hour can do this for you.
Great. And Carolyn,
There's no magic.
where do we find you?
I guess I'm all over the internet. You can find me at myshingle.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. And I also have a LinkedIn profile. I have to leave it too also.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I apologize for no Q&As. Maybe we'll be posting this video on YouTube. So maybe everyone, if you ask questions on the replay on the YouTube video, I'll make sure we get answers for you. And I want to thank everyone for being here, and everyone in the audience, and everyone over at LinkedIn. Those we're seeing in the future, send us all a note and tell us when you're seeing this. Thank you all so much.
Okay.
All right, see you
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.